Welcome to Personal Finance Cat, where I share my personal take on personal finance.
All right. Hello, everyone. Today we have Kelly Ann on the show. Kelly is a friend of mine from the days when I was in graduate school, and she was a college student at the time. And we met through some common friends, and she always impressed me as a very outgoing and friendly person. So we met up recently in New York City, and I realized that she's a great entrepreneur doing her own thing and kicking ass in Singapore all the way. So, as a brief background, Kelly Ann is a software engineer, impact investor, and experienced community builder. At PayPal, she was recognized with the Top Inventor Award for 2 consecutive years, co authored 2 patents, and was leading member of its Singapore Global Headquarters Innovation Lab team. As a chapter head of SoGal Foundation and limited partner in SoGal Ventures and Hustle Fund, she helps to empower diverse entrepreneurs around the world. She holds an MBA from INSEAD, 2 bachelor degrees in computer science and psychology from top U.S. institutes. She was a scholarship recipient to attend Stanford University's 500 Startups VC Executive Program. Now she's building a Web 2.5 startup to help traditional brands to explore and Web3 marketing solution to create a deep engagement and loyal with their customers. Welcome to the show, Kelly. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Handy. It's very nice to really connect with you after many years, and thank you for inviting to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have anything to add to the background that I just mentioned? What's your latest venture?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to correct one of your pronunciation.
Oh, sorry.
My MBA is called INSEAD. It's a French school.
Sorry.
Yes, INSEAD.
I always wonder how to pronounce that. I've seen it many times. I know it's a very prestigious MBA program. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me.
No, I think if people never been to Europe for school, so they were never able to pronounce it. I had the same problem before this too.
Is it French, INSEAD?
Yes, it's a French.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So my latest journey right now, I'm a full-time entrepreneur right now. Building my startup based in Singapore, helping the brand to utilize the community-driven approach to empowering the consumer to create a better engagement, also long-term engagement between the brand and also the consumer itself, so that for brand it save a lot of marketing expense, and from consumer, their effort, their following, their engagement actually be recognized by the brand.
That's awesome. So how did you know that you want to be an entrepreneur? When did you find that out and you make the decision just to do it?
It actually took me for a while to realize I want to be a full-time entrepreneur, because I think there was a few different stages of my career. When I just graduated, actually before I graduated from school, I was intern at Silicon Valley at Yahoo as a software engineer. At the time, we and a bunch of other classmates and also intern attended many different kind of intern meetup and hackathon along the Bay Area. And I just really enjoy building the product with other people and building solutions. At that time, I think being an entrepreneur wasn't really an option. And I was thinking about I will be a software engineer to build a product for a company. And then after I graduated from school, I joined PayPal as a sales engineer. So working with sales team to integrate PayPal solution for a lot of different type of merchant and channel partner too. And I realized that being a sales engineer actually also an option for me too. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy pitching the product to the merchant. I also enjoy the integrating product on their website as well. And at the same time, I saw one of the blog posts by a really good friend of mine, also the managing partner at SoGal Venture. She attended this 500 startup and Stanford executive program for their first one they hosted. And then I saw her story on Facebook post, and I reached out to her, say, I'm very inspired by your story, and I decided to apply that program as well. And then luckily, I got in, and also they gave me the scholarship and PayPal pay for the rest of the other things. And that program was mainly looking for people to become a full-time VC or family office, or you want to be an investor for the startup. So I attended that program for 2 weeks. Every day, people are talking about how to do a due diligence for the startup, what kind of term sheet you will get startup founder. And that stage, still wasn't sure I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. I was thinking, okay, maybe VC could be another option for me. And then over the years, after that program, I started being very actively involved with SoGal community. SoGal is a global female entrepreneur community that we support female founder and also female investor. Both of those are minority group in this sector, in both sector actually. And over the years, I encounter so many different kind of startup founder and helping them to move the resources around, both through PayPal and SoGal. And the last stage, it was when I decided to move to Singapore in 2018. At that time, I was the third year of my H-1B lottery, and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna create some option for myself if I couldn't get H-1B, and I started exploring some option outside of United States. PayPal is still an option, but I want something also different. So I talked to Pocket, and she was living in Singapore at the time, and she just shared my
She's
resume
the founder
around.
of
Yeah,
SoGal, right?
yeah, she's
Okay.
the founder and managing partner at SoGal Venture.
Yep.
And she's just circling my resume around in Singapore VC network, and I got a bunch of offer, very early stage startup offer in Singapore. And I flew to Singapore for 72 hours and just to meet all those startups. And then after that, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna come here, no matter how the salary is gonna be. I'm ready for a new life. And then I decided I took the offer. One of the startup that I'm most not unfamiliar with. It was precision agriculture AI startup. And then so I moved there in June. So I worked there for 3 months. Thing didn't work out. I quit the startup, and luckily I messaged my previous boss at PayPal, who gave me an offer from PayPal in Singapore. I say, I think this startup didn't work out. What could you get my offer back? So he's very generous. He say, if you want to come back, yeah, the position is safe for you. And I feel very lucky. So after I quit that startup in September, I just left Singapore. So I went on a mini world tour, traveling around the world for a bit, and I took his offer while I was in Italy for a friend wedding.
Nice.
And then I went back to Singapore, joined the PayPal again, but at this time I was doing a little bit different thing than previously. So I was leading the innovation lab at PayPal in Singapore. And innovation lab at PayPal, my job actually are twofold. One is working with a lot of startup founder in the ecosystem. Second is nurturing the innovation spirit and activity and the patent related activity at PayPal.
That's
I think
great.
at that time, I'm pretty sure that after PayPal, I'm gonna be a full-time entrepreneur, because I think this is what really drive me and what really make me energetic and learning new things, and also discovery about myself too.
That's awesome. So at what point when you were in Singapore, when you were working for PayPal, did you decide that now is the time to move on and start something on my own?
Actually, wasn't. I decided at the time, I think it was COVID hit, that I'd be able to focus on doing my GMAT. And then I couldn't do GMAT for many, many years because of, life distraction. And during COVID, there was a lot of things, work slowed down, and I just focused on doing my GMAT. I decided, I'm going to apply for an MBA and give it a shot, because my goal is going to MBA is really trying to have less risk and more opportunity to meet high quality co-founder. through the MBA program. And then I did meet a co-founder over there at INSEAD. But then I think our personality didn't really match very well. So we decided to do our own things afterward.
Interesting. So you intentionally went into the MBA program in the hopes of meeting people, learning about how to run a business. You already knew that you were going to be an entrepreneur at the time. Okay. And then is that what you did right after you graduated? Sorry, did you hear my question? I think we were cut off a little bit. Yeah, I was asking, did you know that you were going to start up a company right after you graduated?
Yes, I was going to plan to start my company during my MBA, actually.
Oh, okay. And then after INSEAD, you traveled back to Singapore and you started the company. Can you talk a little bit about how that came together?
Yes. So INSEAD only had 5 semesters. It's only 10 months program. So before I started INSEAD, I knew I'm gonna go to INSEAD. I already started exploring some of the startup program activity for students at INSEAD. So I met my ex-co-founder, who is also my classmate, when we were just talking and networking online. And then we started doing this summer startup tour together, which related to female health. So her background was in healthcare, and my background was mostly in the female space and also community space. So we decided, we're gonna explore this topic and see what kind of thing out end of summer, which is only 1 month. This is before I started officially joining INSEAD. That's like 2021, July to August. So we spent a whole month of talking to many different kind of female health founder, VC, and also researcher around the world. And then by the end of the tour, we decided, I think there's one problem we want to going after, and not many people are solving it, is called menopause issue, a solution for menopause. So then before, like INSEAD had a one venture competition, and it happened every 3 months. So we actually apply the first venture competition when we were joining the INSEAD. It was in September. That was first month after we started at INSEAD. And then we didn't got in, but we were very enthusiastic about keep pushing the direction forward. And fast forward, by the end of the P4, like the 4th semester, we applied again actually, but we still didn't get in. And at the time, I also feel that me and my ex-co-founder doesn't really work that well. There's a lot of small issues. So in my last semester, I really sat down and accidentally I was taking a few classes related to NFT, non-fungible token, and also Web3, this topic, and also crypto entrepreneurship. And I was always very passively investing in this space. And I was sitting down like since college actually. And then now I sit down and think about, okay, what is something right now, the industry is going up, also had a lot of opportunity, but also can combine my previous experiences in the fintech, in commerce. And I love working things in a commerce. So I decided, I'm going to write a paper on it with a couple other classmates through a class project. And then our topic was about NFT loyalty reward system. And because we saw Starbucks announce their NFT Odyssey, it wasn't called Odyssey at the time. They said they were going to do something NFT in March or May. So we got very inspired by it. And when I came back to Singapore after graduate in August, I started just talking to a lot of brands, winning my own network from SoGal mostly. And then we just start exploring what kind of product is the brand want and what kind of product that like we can build.
Gotcha. How did you meet your current partners? Was that through intentional searching or was it through common friends? How did you start this current company that you are working for?
Actually, I started my company by myself, and then I couldn't find a co-founder at the time. And I think I tried very, very hard. I talked to a lot of people. I was also thinking about going to some accelerator program who can help me match some co-founder. But then
Hmm.
I thought about the ROI of that program. I don't really think I really need it because I really have a lot of network winning the entrepreneurship. So I would start talking to people who are entrepreneur. I know entrepreneur already. I met this guy actually at SoGal's first global pitch competition back to 2016. So he was
Hmm.
building his startup in China, similar to Shopify tools for Chinese direct to consumer brand.
Hmm.
And I was just catching up with him over the phone and asking him what kind of thing you've been doing, and also sharing the stuff I'm doing as well. And then we decided we were going to partner together. So that is how I guess how I met him. But it's been a long, long time. We always kept in touch because he is an entrepreneur and he's been building things for as e-commerce founder for different brand for many, many years.
So, did you always know that you have to have a founder? Have you thought about just doing everything on your own and then maybe just hiring employees to pick up the rest? Why do you think a co-founder or partner is so critical?
It is impossible to do everything by yourself. First of all, I I honestly know this from the beginning. I don't think I will be able to do everything by myself. I know myself weaknesses. I also know myself my strengths. So I would rather focus on my strengths and let the people who do things well and join together. And then I think is never about. I think for me, entrepreneurship or startup is never about making money in a very quick short period of time. I think this is just a lot of assumption that by major media. I think being a startup founder for me is a self discovery journey, and I want to go through that. So I think being working with other people along this journey can also let me give me an opportunity to get to know myself better.
That makes a lot of sense. So then maybe going back a little bit to kind of talk through some of the earlier career choices that you had. When I knew you, you were a psychology major and now you're a software engineer. Can you talk a little bit about how you decided to transition from being a psychology major to a computer science major?
Yeah, let's face the reality. If you're a psychology bachelor degree, you cannot find a job. This is the harsh reality that we all know. And then I went to a liberal art college, right? So most of my classmates went to liberal art college. They all want to go to do master and PhD right after the school.
Hmm.
I just wouldn't think it was right for me at the time. And and I know I like computer when I was a little kid. And then I started taking a lot of elective class outside of my own school. And I think all those classes I did pretty well.
Hmm.
And it got me having this idea that, maybe I should take another major that can help me get a job.
Hmm.
That's what really the first and initial motivation.
Gotcha. Thanks for the honesty. So then, when you were starting out, you said your first internship was at a tech company. Was that Yahoo?
That was my first tech internship. My
Okay.
first real internship when I was studying psychology, I was actually intern at Georgia Economy Development Department
Okay.
at Tech Square. I was like doing marketing things there, here and there. But then it wasn't really making any money. I also interned at the DCAP, like medical center for their behavior health hospital department too. But also that was sort of volunteer. So the real internship, which I make me money, was Yahoo.
Gotcha. So how was that experience? Did you become more certain that you want to be in the tech industry after interning at Yahoo? What lessons did you learn? What networks did you build? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I think at the time I wasn't really think too much. Like when you were an intern at Silicon Valley, everything is very new. Everything is about tech, and I just wasn't thinking about it. And also it paid very very well. And I think Yahoo wasn't
That's
a
always
top
good.
pay, yeah, like not a top paying employer for intern, but it's still the benefit pretty good. You got free food, you got shuttle, your salary is pretty good. you also meet a bunch of other intern who very similar to you, both boys and girls, and we just go into a different event, doing hackathon and doing like things together. Wasn't really intentional in building my network at the time, but I think I was just really absorb environment at like in Silicon Valley.
Gotcha. That sounds a lot of fun. And then you got into PayPal, and this Innovation Lab, I think, is the group that you worked for. How did you get in, and how did you like it?
I think Innovation Lab was my third role
Okay.
at PayPal. My first role was a sales engineer. When
That's
my first hiring manager gave me the offer, I wasn't even sure what does a sales engineer means. I was like, what kind of career can sales engineer do?
Yeah, that's my question as well. Are you doing sales? Are you doing engineering?
It's actually both. It's actually
Yeah.
both, and
That's great.
the career wise is you need technical knowledge. You also need a really good communication skill, and I really I think I kind of like it now when I'm thinking back, but initially I hate it. I really don't like. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. My job every day is helping merchant integrating the product, and I have to troubleshoot things for them.
I see.
And for me, at the time, I was planning to be a software engineer. Like all of my other job I applied or got offer was all software engineer. PayPal was the only one gave me this role, but I like e-commerce, and PayPal was the closest one to e-commerce, and also like fintech at the time was also a growing industry too.
Right.
And then fast forward, when I moved to Singapore, before I moved to Singapore, I was talking to a lot of internal director and about, what kind of role are in Singapore, who do you know there? And then they start introduce me to people that they know in Singapore office. And I had a chat with my boss, with their team, my ex-boss. Although I didn't took his offer initially, but I still visit him. I kept in touch with him even after I joined the startup. And then I think after I left that startup, I just messaged him, maybe we should catch up. And I asked, there's nothing I can lose. So I just asked him, do you have that role available? Can I still take it? And then I think it's very lucky. And also I asked for it, and he said, it's still yours if you want to come back. So I think that's how I got that role. And then because I did a lot of networking internally, and people know what thing that had been built before. So like outside of a sales engineer, I also very actively in like PayPal internal innovation lab in the San Jose office. And I know a lot of people, and I also build a lot of different things outside of my main job, so that I have this reputation. I also filed a bunch of patents before, so I'm a top patent award winner in the 17, 16, and 17. So that when I talk to my ex-boss about it, and he said, I think this is someone we really needed for our Singapore office. We're happy to give you offer for this.
Yeah. About the patents, I saw that on your LinkedIn profile, and you mentioned just now. That was very impressive. How did you file a patent? Can you walk us through the process?
Actually, patent was one of the main goals for Innovation Lab when it first exists.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Established in 2015, because PayPal and eBay split at the time. A lot of patents they co-own belong to eBay. So PayPal need to catch up. And we actually have a lot of internal enthusiasts, just like myself. People gather at small office room, and just like brainstorming and watch tech video. And then there was a one director at the Innovation Lab. His role is just creating this enthusiasm and increasing the patent number from PayPal. And I was very drawn into these ideas. So I participate pretty much every week. And I just really enjoy hanging out with my colleague I met also networking over there too. And then there was a few opportunity that, people, we should brainstorm some ideas and I contribute mine. We build out each other's idea together, and then we found a pattern. It was that easy, and we have lawyer, of course, internal lawyer team to help us file the whole process. But I think it wasn't really a hard process for my understanding.
That's great. I guess the hard part is coming up with the idea, but it sounds like a group of you work together on that. Cool. That's awesome. And then I want to talk about your SoGal experience. I think you mentioned that you met the founder and managing director of Pocket through the VC event that Stanford hosted. Did you just reach
Yeah,
out
it's
to
the
her?
executive program.
Right. Did you just reach out to her after you saw her bio? Did you meet her in person? Can you talk a little
Yeah,
bit more about that?
so initially I saw her Facebook post from 500 Startup Facebook
Okay.
and the article about it. And I decided to join that program. I met her co-founder, Elizabeth, who she met at that program. That's when they first started the fund. And I met her, and I really like both of them. Pocket morning virtually, and from all of her video talk. And then Elizabeth, I really like her in person, and it just started involved building SoGal global pitch competition, like coming up
Mm-hmm.
in 2016. And then I didn't meet her. We were just online friends chatting,
Mm-hmm.
um, until 6 months later when she flew from Singapore to Silicon Valley. And at the time, I would just volunteer for their event. And by the end of the conference, I was the one got this conference space for free. And I also got a lot of sponsorship from PayPal, from Lyft, from all different tech company. And then, and that's how I like become really good, how I know her. And over the years, we become quite close. And when I moved to Singapore, we become really good friends.
Gotcha. That's great. And you were part of the SoGal Ventures, right? Were you involved in evaluating startups? If so, how did you go about evaluating which company to invest in?
I think initially I was just helping for the community for other female founder building events.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started getting involved with the deal sourcing because I'm based in Silicon Valley, convenience. And later on, I become their venture partner, sort of helping them to select the deals here and there. And and then I become their limited partner. I start invest my own money in their fund because I'm
Mm-hmm.
very involved already. Why don't I just invest my own money into it?
Mm-hmm.
How do I look at the deal sourcing process? Actually, the more you're looking at, the more you're involved with the startup ecosystem, the startup valuation, the startup, how they build their product. And I think Silicon Valley, it is a place for you to absorb that, for people to absorb everything related to this. Because everyone around me is also either VC investor or product manager, software engineer, or founder.
Gotcha. And deal sourcing, is that something that you do on your own? Meaning you would go out and scout out what startups there are, or would people come to you because they need funding, or both?
I think both. Like,
Okay.
I go to events. I go to a lot of different kind of events. I also go to talk to friends about it, and they will also share something when they've changed a company. And also, people will reach out to us. We have a social media before now. Like, people reach out to us through a website too.
Gotcha. And during the time you have been with SoGal, have you witnessed any company becoming successful? What's the usual timeline when you can see a company is really growing and can be a potential success?
I see SoGal right now portfolio has 3 to 4 unicorn. And let me remind you, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
SoGal only started this fund in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And officially they start taking money in 2017, and now in
Mm-hmm.
2022, 5 years. I think that's really short period of time for if you see a lot of different company being able to grow from nothing, from
Mm-hmm.
pre-seed nothing to a unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
think average is it will take 7 to 8 years. And now
Okay.
the VC climate, investment climate is not really good. So I think it probably would take another 1 or 2 years for those founders to fully exit.
Gotcha. So with all the things going on, your own company, your involvement in SoGal, and I'm sure you're exploring other things as well. How many hours do you work in a week, if you don't mind sharing?
I actually work less than you think.
Really?
I don't work that much. Think I spend a lot of time just. I think I spend a lot of time to absorb information I have,
Mm-hmm.
slowly make a decision, and if once I make a decision, I make action really quick.
Okay.
That's my own style. I don't work that much because I don't believe that the longer time you work, the longer time you're actually give you the same return. But it's just me. My best friend might say the different thing. She's a very dedicated worker.
Mm-hmm.
Because I personally think that for me to be efficient, for me to think clearly and then make a right decision, I need a lot of time to process.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's very refreshing to hear. So what keeps you up at night being
Nothing
an
keeping up at
entrepreneur?
night. I fall asleep very immediately.
That's awesome. That's
but
awesome.
but I think right now, like if I have to be honest, it is a fundraising process. No matter I've been being an investor before or not, I am very slowly, and also I am fundraising from angel, and asking people's money is never easy things. No matter you know the person very well, how
Of
many years,
course.
it's never easy process.
So, what's your kind of main role now? Are you doing the business plan? Are you actually coding to make the platform work? Are you doing just general business management or everything as needed?
Right now, my role is we are still trying to figure out the product market fit. I think
Hmm.
we found it. Right now, we do need to create a prototype and to prove to our brand that this will work. At the same time, we need to create a sales channel for our brand to sell,
Hmm.
because there are only two things matter to consumer brand or any brand. Number one is the cost. If we can lower their existing cost, which is mostly they spend now on social media,
Hmm.
and that's our thesis. We can using our software, our tool, using community method to save money for them on the social media, but it create a better effective marketing for
Hmm.
their follower. But also we are also exploring the sales channel. I'm going to set up a TikTok live streaming actually tomorrow to help my brand to sell. So I'm gonna become a live streamer
Nice.
for a month. Yeah. So
Let me
pretty
know.
much
I'll watch it.
everything.
I'll be very curious to
Okay.
see. So you're on TikTok. What's the name? Just Kellyanne on
Right
TikTok?
now, we're just set up a seller account. It's not even my own account. I don't even
Oh,
using
okay.
TikTok very often, but for my brand, I would do it.
Yeah. All right. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll follow up with you on that. What do you think is in your future? Is the company going to be kind of the main thing that you're doing, or it's still kind of in the exploring stage?
I think I will be a serious entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's always good to hear. I heard a lot of entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneur. If one thing doesn't work out, move on to the next. That makes
Yep.
total sense.
That's how I see as well. Because I think no matter this company succeed or not, it's a journey that I'm on, and I hope I can make some money, and then I learn some good lesson, and then I'm going to start another thing. Of course, I will continue invest in a startup in the VC fund, because I believe this model. I also see a lot of success. Of course, also failure story, but I think this is really this space make me learn things um, in a very effective way.
Cool. And are you bullish in the whole Web3, the next phase of the internet kind of buzz that people are talking about? I know that your thing is Web 2.0. I mean, sorry, Web 2.5, but you mentioned something about using the Web3 technologies also. What's your overall outlook for this whole Web3 concept?
Web3 is a new era of internet. That's how I see it.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter whether it's gonna be a blockchain or the metaverse or AR, VR. It's a way that we interact with the internet in a different way. It's
Mhm.
a decentralized, permissionless, So we actually own our own data instead
Mhm.
of all the big platform own our own data through a
Right.
various form. I'm very bullish on Web3 for a few reasons. Number one is I was the early Bitcoin adopter. When we were in school, we actually mined Bitcoin, but in
Oh,
a
wow.
very, very, very small amount. People
Hmm.
always think, oh my God, you probably loaded. Like, that's not true.
Yeah, back in 2015, 16.
That's in 2013, 14.
Oh, wow. That's really early. Yeah.
But nobody really believed that was a thing at the time, right? Also wasn't sure too because of few of my good friends and doing that. So I was like, okay, I will do it with you in the
Hmm.
school lab, computer lab. And then back to 2016 and 17, some of my really close colleague at PayPal bought a lot of different altcoin, and they were just telling me about it. And I was like, okay, fine. It's not a lot of money. I'm gonna buy it with you. And I never sell any of those. Like just keep in my wallet. And they also bought a actual Ledger hard wallet, cold wallet, so you
Hmm.
can save all of your token on your device. I'm like very lazy. I don't even want to move anything. So I just bought those and it's keep there. And now I think I'm actually really involved in this industry as a full-time founder. I've learned so much and it's overwhelmed. I have to say there's so much knowledge, so much scam, so much people who have different kind of expertise, quote, quote.
Hmm.
And then you have to differentiate a lot, and you have to know as a founder or the startup project founder or ecosystem builder, how do you want to learn more? How do you filter the knowledge? Do I trust a lot of things from Twitter? Do I trust a lot of things from the people I know, or do I trust the information I went to from a conference? Probably neither of those are comprehensive. So I think it's really helped me to understand from different point of view about Web3, and I'm building thing along this space too. Why is Web 2.5? Because we don't have token. Web3 native project all have a token. They're launching a crypto behind the scene, and that it is a really community focused, community enabled project. If you think this way, why is Web 2.5? Because we're using some of the Web3 marketing method to drive the growth for Web 2
Hmm.
consumer brand.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So after talking through all of that experience that you had, my really critical question, at least for me, is do you think entrepreneurship was born with or you can acquire that?
I never think entrepreneurship can be born with.
Really?
Honestly,
Okay.
I think
That's good to
it
know.
is. Yeah, I actually think you have to really in an environment push you and give you the incentive. There are a lot of incentive about getting to know yourself better and get to know more different kind of people, whether they're good or bad. But I think it is a learned skill, and it is also your environment is highly influence the choice of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but just to play devil's advocate, right? There are a lot of people in Silicon Valley, and some of them just choose to work for a company. They're happy being an employee. And there are also people who are entrepreneurs. They always talk about they want to be an entrepreneur, but they never actually take the action to do it. So, what do you say to that kind of argument?
If this person grew up in the Silicon Valley, he definitely had been an entrepreneur before. No matter what I think it's just a story we just never fully know about that person's story.
Okay.
If this person moved to Silicon Valley when they become an adult, and most likely they will be really attracted by the high incentive, the salary, the benefit of tech company giving to the employee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yes, if you're looking at holistically for this person, like growing up, the whole story of this person, if this person has been growing up in an entrepreneur driven environment or family, this person will never just settle to be one entrepreneur. And of course, people who are entrepreneur, I used to be that one. It took me a long time to really say goodbye to all the corporate benefit, the high paying salary and good position, people looking you up on it. It
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
took a lot of effort. So that's why I went to INSEAD. I did my MBA, say goodbye to that life for a year, and then say, you know what, this time I'm not going back.
That's awesome. That's very encouraging. So, do you have any other words of encouragement for people who might want to follow your steps to be an entrepreneur one day?
I think just get to know yourself better is important. I spend a lot of time hire a professional coach. I think it's really helpful to understand my own motivation, to understand who I am, what I can do, what is my weaknesses, and I think this is something that I really encourage everyone to do that. No matter you are hire a therapist or you are going to hire a life coach, I think this is very important.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that you have a coach or a mentor or therapist. How did you find the person that you feel comfortable talking to about your ambition, your personality, your goals? How did you do that?
It's still influenced by my friend Pocket. So
Okay.
she hired a coach a long time ago, and she was telling me how grateful is it. And then after influenced by her, I started asking around about, I want to find a professional coach. And I found two. And so I did two at the same time, completely different style. And it was really, really, really eye-opening and helpful. And then I cried so much during my like professional coach session. And at ACI, we also have a professional coach to help you guide you through your decision making journey when you're trying to find a certain job. I would say less about why this job is important. It's less about how do you find a job, because we
Mm-hmm.
all adult, we're going to MBA, but it's more about why do you want to do this job, or
Mm-hmm.
how do
Mm-hmm.
you dealing with a personal conflict or personal relationship with other people in a work environment.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So, what do you think is the one thing that sets people apart to be successful versus failing or never even get started?
I think you need to have a courage for people who have faith in him or herself.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I read this quote. It's actually from Shoe Dog, from Phil Knight. It's one of the I think one of the very famous quote from this book. And he
Mm-hmm.
said you need to have faith in yourself, have faith in the face, and you cannot. I don't remember the full quote, but I remember that this word that you need to have a faith in yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
believe that whatever come to you, you will be able to find a solution for it. If you cannot find a solution for it, you can find people to have a solution for it. And I think that's how I live my life. I don't have all the solutions for my startup, but I can find people who might have a solution to solve the problem.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a very, very good quote. All right, so my last question for you, where can people find more about you? Is it LinkedIn,
Yeah, people
TikTok,
find me
YouTube?
on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I very actively looking at my LinkedIn every day. Also Twitter as well. So Twitter and LinkedIn will be the most immediate connection that you can find me.
Awesome. So on Twitter, you're just Kellyanne, or what's your
Yes,
Twitter name?
Kelly Ann 3644. That's
Okay,
my handle name.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. This was really great. I really enjoyed the conversation, and thanks for sharing all this experience that you had. It was really
Well, thank you
appreciated.
for this. Give me an opportunity.
Yeah, of course, of course.